A pond. I ran to it and threw myself down on my knees. Crawling on all fours, I approached the edge. My heart was hammering inside my chest. A cold sweat trickled down my spine. Calm down. Calm down. Calm down, damn it. I struggled to take deep breaths. Then slowly, I peered into the pond, looking for my reflection. What? No. This can't be real. This face.
It's your face, Dr. Sigma Climb.
Alright, welcome back Twitch and YouTube to just another game. The Nunnery Games Virtue's Last Reward? And yes, the major twist of the game, and this is something that they didn't do in the first game. This is actually kind of the first of its kind. You have always been Zero Senior. You've always been Zero. This kind of is hinted at throughout the game. A number of dialogue from other characters hints that Sigma is much, much older than he thinks he is. The interesting thing is you are never given your opportunity to see your reflection. Anything that could show your reflection is either too dirty or fogged over or broken, except for two things. And I'm not really sure why they don't. They either take this into account or they just expected you to ignore it. There are two opportunities that Sigma could have seen his reflection and doesn't. And that is, one, when he uses the highly reflective foil as part of the crew quarters puzzle. There would have been an opportunity for him to see his reflection there. And two, when he comes into the garden for the first time, or whenever he comes into the garden, however many times he does, he always has an opportunity to see his reflection here. He never does. Either it's a possibility that he's not at the right angle, or he just has other things on his mind, or he just doesn't look. But every other opportunity that you have to see Sigma's face, you don't.
Although, to the you that's behind it now, it's your face 45 years from now.
Yeah, Sigma's 20-something-year-old body, or mind, is in his 45-year-old, or in his 65-year-old body, 65, 67-year-old body.
Zero, the mastermind of the AB project.
This is why Tenmyoji betrays you when he sees this projection. Because he realizes he's been standing next to Zero Senior the whole time. He's on a team with Zero. Now, he probably understands that there's something different about Zero. Either Zero's putting on a really convincing act, or there's something else going on, so he's not cruel about it, but he does betray you and gets the fuck out and thinks that you need to pay for what you've done.
Is you.
What? No, that's not possible. That's bullshit.
It's the truth. Fighting it isn't going to do you any good. Please, Doctor.
I'm not a doctor. This is also kind of hinted at with Luna's ending. She says, as she dies, her dying words are, "Thank you, Doctor."
You will be a pioneer in the field of genetic engineering.
This also goes back to the puzzle in the control room. The 3-sentence puzzle. I was you, will be me. And also the bonus one, she knows everything. You're lying.
No, I'm not. You created him. Well, I suppose I should say you are going to create him.
Create?
His name is Kyle Klein.
There's some theories that, I mean, nobody... Sigma's name being Sigma, Lady actually did point this out. Sigma is the 18th letter of the alphabet. 18 divided by 2 is 9. So Sigma being named Sigma is kind of a reference to him being the second of the nonary protagonists. His last name, Clem, nobody really has a good explanation for, except his fascination with cats. Because Clem is milk backwards. Now, I don't know if that's true. I don't think the developers have ever said that's intentional, but it's as good a theory as any. Other than that, Clem doesn't really have any other etymology that makes sense.
Your clone. That is why he looks just like a younger version of yourself. 23 years ago, in the biolab here in Rhizome 9, you created Kyle. Well, I suppose for you, that's still in the future. When I said I was born and raised here, I was still pretending to be him.
Yeah, she wasn't born and raised here.
The gravity here is only 1/6 of Earth's. If nothing was done, the reduced gravity would cause his bones to be weaker than normal human ones. But you prepared for that.
The armor.
You gave him that armor. Ever since he was born, he's lived inside of it. It kept his muscles and bones strong. He wasn't forced into it for the nonary game. He's been wearing it every day, all his life.
Why would future me create a clone?
He was to be your spare. If something happened to you before the project began, he would take your place. I mentioned before that the AB projects A and B stood for after and before. That isn't all they mean, though. The A also means anima, and the B means body. Anima is another word for the soul or the consciousness. Body is, well, exactly what it says on the tin. The past consciousness will go into the future body, and the future consciousness will go into the past body. They switch.
So anytime that Sigma or Phi jump, whenever they swap consciousness with another timeline, they are swapping consciousness. The consciousness that is in that body they are swapping to gets transferred to the old one. This kind of means that they are not immortal. Like, if a bomb is going to go off and they jump to another timeline, the consciousness that they are replacing goes to the timeline and the body and that the bomb is going to be detonated in. That consciousness dies. It's gone. They are, every time they jump, there is a chance that they are sacrificing something.
That was the chief goal of the project.
And the same goes for the past future thing right here. Basically, the events that we're supposed to go back and stop have already happened in this future. So by coming here and training, Sigma and Phi's abilities, for one thing, it was to train their abilities. For another, it was the history that Sigma himself knew he had. Sigma would be transported into his older body, and his older mind would be transported to his younger body with all the knowledge of all the events that's about to happen. Sigma is not going to stop shit. Sigma's in this body, and anytime that Sigma's in this body, it's a fail. Anytime that young Sigma is in old Sigma's body, it means the apocalypse has happened. But young Sigma comes to old Sigma's body, so old Sigma can go back in time to young Sigma's body and use young Sigma's body with his knowledge to try to prevent the apocalypse. Now, that's very complicated, but what that means is if we look at this game as part of a trilogy, as part of the whole Nonary trilogy, the Zero Escape series. This is always the bad ending. There's a reason this ending is depressing, because it's always bad. This is the disaster ending. We haven't seen the good ending yet. Wait, so the future person goes to the past person.
Sigma, do you remember the note you found in the garden?
You mean this, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Ah, of course, it was you who investigated the garden in this timeline.
Yeah.
Sigma, take a good look at this. It's an illustration of the time jumps your consciousness is making. A is where everything began.
So right here. I mean, you can't see it, but it's right here at the test site. So right here at the test site, there is a good ending, or a possibility for good ending, and a definite bad ending.
December 25th, 2028. You inhaled the white smoke in your car
Okay, we're not actually-
and lost consciousness.
I actually threw that. We're not at the Nevada test site, even though it's right there. He goes to the Nevada test site a few days later,
From there, you jumped to B,
which is up here, Rhizome 9.
January 25th, 2074. You woke up in one of the AB rooms in Rhizome 9. You are in your own body, but it is 67 years old. Your consciousness has jumped 45 years into the future. I believe that may explain why you didn't notice the reduced lunar gravity. The body you woke up in was much older. Normally, you would have noticed that your muscles were much weaker. In this case, however, the lower gravity balanced that out. Moving on, if you continue along this line, what happens next? You reach C, which is January 27th, 2074. That is today.
Whoa. Wait, what do you mean? Are you saying it's been 2 days since we woke up?
36 hours to be exact. Have you already forgotten?
Radical 6.
You were all infected with Radical 6.
The game seemed like it was taking a lot longer than it actually was.
The virus slowed your brain down. So yes, 36 hours of real time have passed. But to you, it only
Or
seemed like
backwards, one of
14
the others.
hours and 40 minutes.
Either way, time dilation.
Now comes the important part. After this, your consciousness will return to the past.
Alright, so we've made, I guess this circle represents the jump right here, A to B. Or no, we can go this way. So now we're coming around here from C to D.
It will re-emerge at point D. April 13th, 2029. You will return to your younger body.
But that's the same day as the reactor explosions.
Yes. That is why I said it will be too late. You will return to the past, but the events you would want to prevent will have already happened. The story does not end there, however. The line continues. After reaching point D, you will eventually return to B. But this time, you won't be jumping through time, or at least not at a rate faster than normal.
You will age there.
Your consciousness will spend 45 years inhabiting the same body until you reach point B. Do you remember when B is Sigma?
January 25th, 2074. According to what you just told us, it's 36 hours ago.
Correct. That was when the consciousness of the 22-year-old Sigma jumped into the body of 67-year-old Sigma. So where did the older version of you go when you took his body?
Point A, December 25th, 2028. The day all of this started.
Yes. His consciousness will go back in time 45 years. For a period of time, he will inhabit your younger body. While your younger consciousness is elsewhere, he will be you in the past.
But once that body reaches point D, my 22-year-old consciousness will come back from point C.
That's correct. When that happens, the older version of you will be ejected from your younger body and return to your body at C.
So it's rotating?
Rotating. I suppose you could put it that way. But look at this illustration closely. What if you take all these lines and untangle them? You get one single line. It may look complicated, but in truth, it's a single straight path.
Alright, so... it either goes up or here, and then there's a break there.
With one exception.
This line here at point E, right?
Exactly.
Actually,
Point
this
E
probably comes back
is
to A.
December 31st, 2028.
So this arrow
The
probably...
day of the total eclipse.
So this arrow represents coming back in here to point A. So this whole thing right here, except for point E, is that loop. This is the bad ending loop. This is the loop that the AB game was designed to create. The day Radical 6 got out of the test facility.
Yes. By now, you've likely figured it out on your own.
We're trying to reach point E.
The purpose of the AB project was to get the consciousness of the 67-year-old Sigma from point B to point A. If we can do that, we can change what happened 45 years ago.
So the old version of me will keep Radical 6 from getting out by jumping into my 22-year-old body on New Year's Eve 2028.
Yes, that is why this line could not be interrupted. In order for the 67-year-old version of you to reach point B, we first have to go through point D. In order to get to point D, we must jump from point C. And for point C to happen, we had to recreate everything that happened in this facility. That is why we have faithfully retraced history up to this point, so that we might save humankind from destruction and undo the horrors of the last 45 years.
But that's not going to help any of the people here now. Tell me one thing.
What is that?
You said point C is January 2074, which is today. There's going to be a jump, and I'll jump to April 13th, 2029.
Yes, that's right.
But look, I'm still old. When is this jump supposed to happen?
Very soon.
Soon?
Yes.
And what's going to trigger it?
We need potential energy stored to send your consciousness into the fourth dimension. Fortunately, we now have plenty of that, thanks, ironically, to Radical 6. All that remains is to launch your consciousness, like a bullet from a slingshot.
And how do you propose to do that?
Didn't I tell you? A crisis. A moment balanced between life and death. That can jumpstart your brain.
What do you mean?
You haven't figured it out. I mean this.
The knife. This bitch is gonna come at me with a knife. Dio's knife? No sooner were the words out of my mouth. Fight! I screamed and leapt toward them. Akane was already in motion, the knife driving towards Fai's chest. I was almost there. When I regained consciousness, I was on the floor. There was a dull pain in my chest. I felt for a cut, but something was in the way. It took me a moment to realize it was Akane's body lying on top of me. Twisted my neck to look around. Nearby was an old tombstone. On it were written a few words in Latin. Tu fui, ego eris. What you are, I was. What I am, you will be. So as I said, and this is Fai's ending, also the true ending. There's actually a little epilogue we're going to go through where we talk to some of these people about how they feel about being part of this game against their will for the most part. But as I said, this is always the bad ending from the series as a whole. That's why this ending is depressing, and this was actually a little bit kind of shocking when I played through this the first time. Because 999, the ending, like you'd been through a bunch of shit in 999 for sure. But it ended on a positive, hopeful note. You were going to go find Akane. You had just arrested, someone who was responsible for all this misery you've been through. And Akane was alive. Like, Akane went through all these things to confirm her existence, and she ended up with a happy ending. You can kind of imagine that Junpei eventually finds Akane, right? Well, in this game, you found out, no, he never found her. And he spent 45 years looking, and then they execute the AB game, and none of this is a happy ending. Like, Junpei has spent 45 years looking for someone he used to love, whom he may not love anymore, who may not love him in the same way anymore. Clover and Alice have been transported 45 years into the future. They've been on cold sleep for 45 years for this game. Everyone they knew and loved is probably dead and probably never knew what happened to them. They disappeared and they were never heard from again, if you look at it from that point of view. Granted, they probably didn't have long to live because they were transported a few days out from Radical 6. Radical 6 escapes a quarantine facility and is responsible for 6 billion deaths. Humanity is near wiped out. Everything is struggling to survive, and it's 45 years later than that. People are just now trying to reestablish their lives. But this is always, always, always going to happen in this timeline. Always. This is always the ending of this timeline. No matter what we do, no matter what we've done, no matter all the good things that we did, no matter for saving all of these people and clearing the game, this is always the bad ending. It always will be. Because we haven't gone to point E yet. Point E is the third game, and Point E is the one opportunity to break out of this loop. But... and there's the final ending, there's the final character ending, time after time. But... just because we can get to Point E doesn't help anybody in this game. As we're about to see. Radical 6 has been released.
Today is April 13th, 2029, and this is the evening news. Unfortunately, I'm sorry. I don't have any news to read. All of our station's reporters have passed after contracting Radical 6. So have my... Excuse me. I've managed to keep us on the air until now. But I'm out of tricks. It's time for me to sign off. This concludes our broadcast day. I pray that someday our world can be cleansed of this horrible plague. Goodbye.
For a moment, I just stared at the TV. The roar of the static seemed to fill the entire room until, with a click, it disappeared too. Had the power gone out? I heard footsteps behind me and turned around. You. Akane?
It looks like the first step was successful.
What the fuck? You killed me!
Killed?
I guess technically you're going to kill me 45 years from now, but still.
Hey, no need to be rude about it. I didn't kill you.
She really was a very pretty girl.
I hit you with the butt of the knife. You're fine.
I'm okay?
Yes. You and Phi needed to experience a state of crisis. That was the only way.
Me and Phi?
Yes. I only told you about you, but we also needed Phi to jump. Now, you know what happens next, right?
We go to the moon?
Correct. We will be leaving tomorrow, April 14th, 2029. We've nearly finished preparing your shuttle. Only a few last-minute checks and additions. You'll be traveling to Rhizome 9, along with 3 treatment pods.
Alice and Clover, right?
Yes,
What about the third one? Who's in there?
Phi. We put her into cold sleep 2 days ago. She appeared at our headquarters and volunteered to be frozen. That wasn't the Phi who jumped from Point C, though. It was Phi before she jumped from Point A to Point D. In other words, she was following the same path you are, and she still is.
Then that means after you froze her, the Point C version of her jumped back into her body?
Yes, the Point C version of Phi is sleeping in that pod. She'll stay there for the next 45 years, sleeping in ice.
Then when she gets to Point B, her consciousness will jump to Point A, right?
Correct.
So that's why she didn't look old. So why don't you just stick me in one of those pods?
We can't do that.
Why not?
You haven't figured it out? You have to spend the next 45 years working on the AB project. After arriving at Rhizome 9, you must master genetic engineering and artificial intelligence programming, among other disciplines. Otherwise, you will be unable to create Kyle, Luna, and Lagomorph. And, of course, you will need to develop the chromatic doors and the bracelets. You will also be the person who summons Tenmyoji and Quark. Once you've completed all the preparations, then the project can actually begin. January 25th, 2074.
Yeah, we're gonna work our entire life for this.
You will defrost Phi and carry her to the third AB room. Once you've done that, the 22-year-old version of you from Point A will force you out. And you'll just go back 45 years to your own body on December 25th, 2028.
And then I change history. Do you really think I can keep the virus from getting out?
You have to. If you don't, billions of people will die. Only you and Phi can save them.
What about you? Aren't you an Esper too?
I can't do anything on my own. If this is going to work, I'll need your help.
So what do I need to do?
What do you mean?
Like, what specific actions do I take? When Phi and I jump to point A, what are we going to do then?
You'll both enter the Mars mission test site.
And after that?
I don't know.
What?
I'm sorry. I really don't know anything about what happens in there. We don't know how the Radical Six escaped. We don't even know why it was there in the first place.
Crap. Then we're screwed.
That's why we need your help. You have the ability to jump through time and across parallel worlds. We need you to figure out what happened in that test facility. Things will be difficult, and I'm sure you will find yourself in a great deal of danger. But I believe the two of you can overcome any obstacle.
Wait. How do you know it's so dangerous?
The 67-year-old version of you told me what happened. He wasn't able to stop the virus. So I suppose you could say you told me after you failed.
What did I say?
That the test facility is full of traps. There was one point, a woman's life was in danger. You risked yourself for her sake, and lost your arms and your right eye.
My arms and my right eye? What the hell? Suddenly, a low rumble shook the building. What was that?
Go have a look.
I moved slowly to the window and peered outside. On the horizon, I could see a massive mushroom cloud climbing slowly toward the sky. Would we really be able to change the course of history? No, that was the wrong way to look at it. It couldn't be a question. I had to change history. We could save the world. I'm going to change history. I stared at the darkening skies above us and steeled myself. I would succeed. Yeah, not a happy ending. Not at all. Not in the slightest. Saw the end or the beginning? Not even remotely happy. But there's still a bit more. Right down here. It's time to go to another time. Doesn't tell you this is here. I don't think. But I believe once you've done 100%, you've seen everything else, this will unlock. As I said, technically, I don't think you need to finish Tenmyoji's ending. You do get the information you need from him before you ever go into the AB room, so I'm pretty sure this is a conditional based on whether or not you've seen all the character endings. But I'm not sure. I've never tested that.
Where?
I see you've finally woken up, Kyle.
Kyle?
Yeah, so Kyle K is voiced by, well, this version is voiced by Troy Baker. Interestingly enough, there will come a time when there's a voice actor change, and I think it's either like, there was a short anime, it's either in the anime, or the person that this is, which I guess would be Sigma, right? I mean, I say this is Kyle. This is a clone of Sigma. So we can assume Sigma is voiced by Troy Baker. But in the next game, he'll be voiced by Matt Mercer, which is really funny Because now I'm just thinking of Persona 4.
Yes. Of course. You've only just woken up in this timeline. It's only natural for some of your memories to be missing.
I lurched upright, jumped off the bed, and ran around to the other side of the partition. The mirror itself over the sink was covered with a film of dirt. I wiped it with the back of my sleeve, and my reflection stared back at me. There is no mistake. The reflection belonged to...
Kyle Climb. So, I'm Dr. Climb? Zero Senior's clone?
What? How do you know that? Shouldn't you still be suffering from amnesia?
An excellent question, one I didn't quite know the answer to myself. I knew who Kyle Clem was. In another history, he had been called K and worn a suit of armor. He hadn't just worn that armor in that history, though. Apparently, he'd worn it all his life. Cal had been born and raised in this lunar installation which seemed to be called Rhizome 9. Rather late in his life, Akane had appeared as a mother figure, and he had consequently grown very attached to her. I knew everything about him. But even though I knew it, I didn't feel it. Was I really Kyle Climb? Every time I looked in the mirror, I saw his face. The spitting image of Sigma Climb in his younger days. I looked down. There was Dio, still handcuffed. I turned back around to Luna.
What day is today?
January 27th, 2074.
Today is the last day of the AB project. Akane has explained everything in the garden. And she drew a knife and attacked Phi. How long have I been asleep?
About 5 hours in real time. For them, it would have seemed like a little more than 2 hours.
So they still haven't been treated for the Radical 6?
No, they've all been given the antiviral. It just takes a while to have an effect.
I see. So the consciousness of the younger Sigma has gone back into the past. It should have happened right after Akane attacked Phi, right?
Yes,
Why am I here?
the doctor carried you back here. You were in the pod in the garden.
So the person you call the Doctor is Sigma Climb, as inhabited by his age-appropriate consciousness.
Yes, but how do you know that?
Dio seems to have remained unconscious.
Yes, I've been administering Soparil whenever he gets restless.
I'm sure that's great for his health, but, you know, whatever, he's an asshole.
What about the others?
They've all gone off to different areas. Tenmyoji and Quark, for instance.
Oh, right! Mr. Climb!
So the sleepyhead's finally up, huh?
What are you two doing here?
You don't know where we are?
This is the upper floor of the pressure exchange chamber. The real one.
Mm-hmm.
We were just about to get dressed and head out.
You plan to return then? To Earth, I mean.
Yeah.
Sigma told us where we could find the shuttle that brought us here. Well, guess he's not really the Sigma I knew anymore. He's Dr. Climb now, or Zero Senior, depending on how you look at it.
Why?
What do you mean, why?
Well, I'm just curious why you would choose to return to a devastated planet when you could stay here.
How's staying here gonna help? You aren't gonna say something idiotic about how we should wait here until Sigma changes the past, are you? You can't wait for something that's already happened. Grammar doesn't work that way. Hell, nature doesn't work that way. You following me? We've already lived through history. Sigma failed to keep the virus from getting out. About 45 years ago, Radical 6 created a pandemic, and the antimatter reactors blew up. That all happened.
Yeah. No matter what, even if we hit point E in the past, these people will always have to live in this timeline. They can't jump, they can't change, and history isn't going to go away. They always have to live with this reality.
Whatever Sigma does in the past, history's not going to change. In fact, it's because of what he did or didn't do in the past that we've got this past and present. Let me give you an example. Imagine a group of 100 motorcycles driving down an endless freeway. Eventually, they hit a junction. The road splits in two. One freeway continues off northwest, and the other stretches out to the northeast. So one guy, we'll call him S, pipes up. "Let's go northwest," he says. So they take the northwestern road, but about a mile past the intersection, something horrible happens. A semi driving the other way veers into their lane and plows through the bikers. 90 of them die. The surviving 10 are wounded, but survive. They don't stop, though. They keep riding down that highway, and eventually they'd gone 10,000 miles.
It's a hell of a thing to do when you just lost 90 people and you're wounded, but okay.
Then suddenly, something happens that they couldn't have predicted. S, who had survived, suddenly has his consciousness thrown back in time. He ends up back in his own body just before they reach the junction. He remembers everything. So what does S do? What anybody would do. Let's go northeast. That means all 100 of the bikers survive to reach their destination, happy and healthy. And they all live happily ever after. That's what you're thinking, right? It's a great outcome for the 100 bikers that went northeast. But what about the 10 that went northwest and survived the accident?
Huh? Wouldn't it be 9 people? I mean, S's mind went back in time, right?
Right. Okay, 9 people then. What happens to the reality they were living? Does it just disappear when S changes the past? It's not as if it was only bad things that happened during that 10,000-mile trip. Maybe one of them fell in love with a woman working at a gas station they stopped at and had a child. Maybe one of them picked up a homeless kid who joined them on their adventure.
That's you, Quark, in case you're curious.
That 10,000-mile journey would be full of stories. Friendships, farewells, romances. The loss of those 90 lives is horrible and unfortunate. But what would rewriting their history mean? The 9 who survived lived full lives. How can it be right to just erase all that? The survivors overcame their own misery and loss and made the best they could of the hand they'd been dealt. Isn't that worth something? Isn't that the best thing that humans can aspire to? Is there really any point to a world where everything is happy? Are people who struggle for a better life just idiots? Being human is about fighting, even when it seems hopeless, and finding happiness even in a world that hates it. Are you saying that's worthless? If you're saying rewriting the past will erase all these other timelines, then whatever God wrote those rules can
Yeah, there's a child here.
I'm just not going to accept that, all right? You get it?
If Sigma changes the past, then you and Quark will never meet.
Is he right?
No, it's not going to happen. We're here right now. This is reality. Even if Sigma does change the past, we're not just going to disappear or something.
Oh, then that means we get to stay together? Good.
Thanks, kid.
I understand how you feel. Why you want to return to Earth is clear. You have lives there, I imagine. There are likely people waiting for you.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Have you already said goodbye to the others?
Vi, Luna, Alice, and Clover all saw us off. We told them we'd see him again someday, and then came here.
They were the only people you want to say goodbye to?
No point saying anything to Dio.
Besides, he's asleep. You were asleep too.
Sorry, but we didn't really know much about you.
You have a point. Akane was in the armor in this timeline, after all. What about Sigma?
Well, he's not really Mr. Sigma anymore.
Of course, he is Dr. Klein now that his consciousness has returned.
Yeah, but more importantly, he's the guy who brought us all here. Not a lot of warm feelings there, you know?
And Akane?
Never mind her. She's just like him. Not the Akane I knew. She must have seen some pretty awful things over the years. Hell, she might not even be human anymore. But the Akane Kurashiki I know isn't here.
Yeah, Akane has become entirely... I mean, just by the fact that she knows... I mean, we just saw in the last ending, she knows she hit Sigma, or she knows she both hit, and knows she's going to hit Sigma with the butt of a knife. I mean, she can come back to her younger body and explain that. Akane is a completely fourth dimension being. Whatever happened, her powers were always stronger than Junpei's. They always were. Junpei only realized his power in order to save Akane. Akane was already existing in multiple timelines, kind of like a quantum child, and knew what she had to do to save herself and confirm her existence. That was the point of the first Nonary game. From that time, she went through the events of the apocalypse, and she's been jumping back and forth on various timelines for 45 years, trying to find an answer, trying to find a way to stop it. She has written, I mean, the director of the game, I don't know his name off the top of my head, basically said she is supposed to be the worst heroine you can think of. She is entirely cavalier about taking life and using others. She sees nothing wrong with essentially playing God with people's lives for the greater good. She's very goal-driven, and she will do anything to accomplish that, but she is, from Junpei's point of view, she's an entirely alien being now. He will never understand her or the way she can see reality because he can't see it the same way. Like, Sigma went through a whole thing with I think it was in the Luna ending. All these people died. Suicides, antimatter explosions, stabbings, all these different suffocations, all these different ways of death. And Luna's response is probably going to be the exact same way that Akane would respond, because the project had to succeed. They were necessary. Yeah, Junpei's not really cool with that. Like, the little girl that he's been chasing for 67 years or so isn't there. Not anymore. Not in this timeline.
She's not anywhere.
In the end, Clover and I were just pawns. Pawns to be used and then gotten rid of. Still, it's not like we're completely resentful. We had to be here to help change the past. That part's easy to understand. But
Kinda sucks, though. I mean, Sigma and Phi have it easy. They get to go back to December 25th in 2028. They'll stop the Radical Six and save the world, and then they'll have a nice, normal future to look forward to. In other words, they get to go back to Point E and just enjoy history like it was supposed to happen.
But we don't. We're stuck with Point C as our starting point.
You told us about Tenmyoji's story, right? The one with the motorcycles? It would be like if Alice and I were kidnapped right before the intersection. Then whoever grabbed us takes us to wherever the bikers are going, 10,000 miles to the northwest.
Don't get us wrong. We know why we had to be here. Without us, S's consciousness wouldn't have been able to go back to right before the intersection.
If that couldn't happen, then the fate of those 90 dead bikers would be sealed. But
It's still not the best situation for those of us left in the Northwest. We're stuck in the reality where the 90 bikers died.
are we just supposed to go live on Earth? It's a wasteland now. And what about our friends and families? We left a whole world behind 45 years ago.
Even if it is for the greater good?
It just doesn't seem fair, does it?
Yeah, it's a little bit much.
So we went and talked to the old lady.
She told us that there is one way.
One way we could get back to the past.
Let's say you do go back to the past. Wouldn't that cause your minds to get thrown back here? That seemed to be how Sigma and Phi's jumps worked, at least.
Yes, you're right.
But this is different.
Different. How so?
From what she said, it sounds like there's a way we can send our bodies back in time, too.
That's ridiculous. It would create a paradox. How could you have two Clovers and two Alices at the same time?
But that wouldn't happen.
Akane says there's a way around that.
How on earth does she plan to do that?
Schrodinger's
Cat.
So that's as much explanation
Oh, hey, Kyle.
as you ever get. There's a possibility that Alice and Clover aren't stuck here. It kind of goes to the theme of this whole ending that I'm going to talk about. I think there's one more credit roll.
Figured you'd come here eventually.
Where's Dr. Klein? Luna said you were with him.
He said he was tired, so he's off resting right now. There's a bedroom at the end of the hallway. He's in there if you're curious. Oh, right. He told me to turn on this hologram projector thing when you showed up. Want me to start it?
Sure.
Glad to see you. There isn't anything in particular that I have to tell you. However, I imagine there are a great number of things weighing on your mind. I'd love to answer all your questions, but unfortunately, my circumstances make that an impossibility. I hope you can forgive me. Everything I know, Phi should also know. I have instructed her to answer any questions anyone might have. Anyone other than Kyle, that is.
What does he mean, other than Kyle?
Who knows? Is there anything you want to ask?
Right, well, I guess I may as well cut to the chase. Just who are you, Phi?
I'm not Superman, that's for sure. And I'm not Batman or Spider-Man or Aquaman or a merman or a wolfman. I'm not a Brahmin or Kamen or Ramen. I'm not a Cayman either, so you really don't need to worry about anything.
Please don't dodge the question. About 5 hours ago, Akane attacked you with a knife. That triggered something which sent your mind back to the past, correct? Specifically, you were sent to Point D, April 13th, 2029. On that date, your body was already in Akane's custody. Although by then you were in cold sleep. You wouldn't have regained consciousness, but your mind was now inhabiting that body. That pod was your home for 45 years. You slept there, frozen, until the time was right. Then on January 25th, 2074, you were finally thawed out, even though you didn't wake up. Still unconscious, you were carried to the AB room. That was when your consciousness changed bodies again. A version of you from December 25th, 2028 arrived, pushing you out and sending you back to December 25th, 2028. This is when you finally woke up. In 2028, you found and joined forces with Sigma, whose older mind was inhabiting his younger body. Together, you attempted to infiltrate the Mars mission test facility. Fortunately, your plan failed. The Radical Six did escape on New Year's Eve. That failure determined the path you followed. Instead of going along the line that branches out to the right from Point E, you headed straight to Point D. Point D being April 13th of the following year. That was the day that you made your way to Akane's hideout and asked to be put into one of the treatment pods. Another consciousness enters your body around that time from the future. It is, of course, the version of you that left your body when Akane attacked you in the garden. This caused the two versions of you to swap places, and you moved 45 years into the future, where you woke up on the garden floor. That put you on the line that comes here. So if we discount the time you spent in cold sleep, for you only 3.5 months have passed since that happened. That being when you were sent back into the past from the garden. Have I missed anything?
No, everything you talked about you got right.
Well, what do you mean by that?
I'm kind of an unknown variable in this equation. You could think of me as a kind of X factor. It's taken me the last 3.5 months to understand it.
And I haven't understood anything in the last 3.5 seconds. Could you please explain?
It's kind of like the relationship between classical mechanics and modern physics. Strictly speaking, you can't combine velocities with v1 plus v2. v1 plus v2 divided by 1 plus v1 times v2 over c squared is the actual equation. Of course, the sort of velocities we encounter in day-to-day life don't come close to being c squared, which is the speed of light squared. That means that 1 plus v1 times v2 divided by c squared is usually going to evaluate to something pretty close to 1. Since that would mean dividing by 1, it's usually okay to just skip that step and use v1 plus v2. You see what I'm saying? In most situations, it works, even if it isn't technically correct. So you knew enough to get the stuff you were talking about right. As long as you stick to that, you won't run into any problems.
I don't quite understand. In fact, I feel like you're dodging my questions.
So was that what you wanted to ask about?
No, What I really want to know is what happened between Christmas and New Year's Eve in 2028. You and Sigma infiltrated the Mars mission test site, didn't you?
Yes.
What happened there? How did Sigma lose his eye and both his arms? And why was Radical 6 in there in the first place? What could a deadly virus have to do with the simulated mission to space?
Sorry, but I can't tell you that.
Why?
Because it would change history. There is a history where the virus didn't escape. That's the line that goes to the right of Point E. In that timeline, humanity isn't heading for annihilation, and Earth isn't red. The future is much brighter. But if I tell you what you're asking me right now, then that reality will disappear. You understand?
I don't. Why would all of that disappear if you told me what I want to know?
You're about to go back to the past, right?
The past? Don't be silly. I can't do that.
Then where the hell did you learn all this stuff? I just listened to you tell me a bunch of things you shouldn't have known about. You were sleeping in the pod in the garden. You just woke up. So how can you know all this? You know my past. Sigma's...
I shall give you your answer. You are not Kyle Climb. Your body is Kyle's, but your consciousness is not. Think about it. Do you really believe you are Kyle? Or could you be someone else entirely?
Then, where is the real Kyle's consciousness?
He was thrown out when you entered. Right now, in a manner of speaking. He has arrived at December 25th, 2028. His consciousness has gone into a body from that time. I doubt you know how much the Doctor loves Kyle. He raised him on his own. Kyle is irreplaceable. Do you really think he would go back to the past and leave Kyle behind here? I know what I told the others, that Kyle was Dr. Climb's spare, but that was not his only purpose. Kyle's consciousness is integral to what we are trying to accomplish. This new mission begins on Christmas and ends on New Year's Eve 2028. Its purpose will be to infiltrate the test facility and prevent the spread of the virus. For this to happen, Kyle is absolutely necessary.
And that is why he created him?
Yes.
So now that my consciousness has entered his body, the Doctor has achieved his objective. Kyle has gone back to 2028 to participate in his mission.
Correct.
There's one thing that troubles me. Kyle was created before reaching Point B from Point D. That means his body did not exist on Christmas in 2028. Does that mean he has entered my body? Have we just switched places?
I suppose you could put it that way, yes.
That's ridiculous. What's going to happen to me? Are you telling me I have to spend the rest of my life here in this box, living in a borrowed body?
No, not at all. You can travel freely through time and space. You are an uncontrolled variable that entered our closed system. As such, the rules of this world do not apply to you.
I have no idea what...
Please don't try to play dumb. I know what you are. Surely you must know by now, too. You are about to go into the past and save the world. Phi and Sigma, even with all of his future knowledge, will need your help. Only you can right the horrible wrongs of our past. Only you can save the world.
There's no way I...
Yes, there is. You have to. Don't you want to know the truth? Don't you want to know what happened in between Christmas and New Year's Eve in 2028?
Well, yes, I do, but
then you must believe. Reality is shaped by what we believe reality should be. If observation can change the motion of a particle, then how is it odd to think that human thought can shape reality? Your will can change history. The world will be reshaped into the one you imagine. Remember what I've told you. Only you can change history. Only you can save the world.
So this is a little bit of an example of caught a glimpse of a certain point of view, caught a glimpse of another time. This is an example of how they bridge the gap between gameplay and narrative. Oh, you can stop Force Marks. Yes, you. The entire time she was talking to Smokey. In this segment here, right here, she is talking to the player directly. The player is the one inhabiting Kyle's body. Now, this is something that, was supposed to be a plot point that I don't think actually kind of got expanded on in the third game, but it's kind of a cool moment to realize, because canonically that means the player is a very powerful Esper, and there are some points in this timeline when it's kind of hinted at that Sigma says he makes actions that aren't entirely in his control, like an outside force influenced him or was curious about what would happen. He's talking about the player. The player did that. Again, like I said, this was supposed to be kind of a thing that was going to be expanded upon. I don't even know if Kyle appears in the third game. I'm going to have to watch carefully, but I don't remember him being there unless he's like the consciousness of somebody in particular, which would be really funny if it's true, but I don't think there's any evidence to suggest that. But yeah, they did. I think they either ran out of time for it or it just didn't work with the narrative that they had going on. So there's nothing that's really going to come of that, as far as I know. There may be, some hints that characters are saying that someone is controlling their actions. That's probably as far as it's going to go. As far as this game goes, as I said, this is the bad ending. This is nothing good happens here, but it is a hopeful ending. It's not a happy ending. It's a hopeful ending. There is hope here. Humanity is returning to normal. There's a chance that Alice and Clover can go back to their own timeline and their own correct history. Like it's the bad ending, but it's a hopeful ending. There's, even in the bad ending, people are living, people are doing their best, people are surviving, and people are finding happiness where they can get it. Like Tenmyouji pretty much sums it up there. That being said, we're going to call it an episode for YouTube here. Thank you so much for joining me. As always, I appreciate it. If you enjoyed what you saw, let me know. Give me likes, send me comments. Remember to subscribe, and I will see you next time. Twitch, we're going to start the third game, because this is pretty much mirroring how I played this game originally. I put down the second game, and I immediately plugged in the third game, because I got them at the same time. All right.